Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 2025 UFC Fighters Ranked. Let's get into it. Starting off with some honorable mentions. The only woman on this list, we have Valentina Shevchenko. The other women have put absolutely stinkers on. Valentina Shevchenko, she's had great wins against Manon Fiorot and Zhang Weili. They've been shit fights, but I kind of feel like I don't want to be, sexist or anything, so I was like, I'll put a woman on there. Another one, Benoit Saint-Denis, fantastic year. Knocked out Beneil Dariush, submitted Mauricio Huffy, submitted Kyle Prepelic, I think his name was, and then now about to have a fight with Dan Hooker. He's doing fantastic. Lerone Murphy, fantastic year for him. A decision win over Josh Emmett, and then had a spinning elbow KO win from Aaron Pico. Great year for him. Another one, Alex Pereira. He's had it all right. Yeah, had that loss to Magomed, and then knocked him out or TKO'd him in the first round. Another one, Manel Cap. He's really doing well. Bet Aslam Bayev. Who else have you bet? Aslam Bayev, Brandon Morovel. There's someone that's ringing on my head that I can't remember, but he's had a fantastic year. Khamzat Chimaev, another one. He beat Dricus du Plessis this year, and dominant performance. It was a bit of a stinker, that's why it's not in the top 10, but great year for him. Now my number 10 I have is Alex Volkanovski. The only fight Alex Volkanovski had this year was against Diego Lopez back in April in Miami for the vacant featherweight championship, with that win becoming a two-time featherweight champion. He wanted to fight more this year, but no one was willing to step up, so he has to wait until Sydney in 2026 for a rematch against Lopez. Honestly, that feels a bit unfair. I think it should have gone to someone like Murphy or maybe Evloev, but I guess the UFC really want a Mexican champ. Overall, the reason Volkanovski isn't ranked higher is simply that he only had one fight this year. That's really the only reason. We finally got the Alex Volkanovski comeback. That's great. He broke the curse of a 35-year champ. That was great. But yeah, just only one fight this year. Number 9 for me, I have is Ilia Topuria. At UFC 317 on June 28th, 2025, Ilia Topuria scored a first-round knockout over former champion Charles Oliveira to win the vacant UFC lightweight championship, making him one of the few fighters in UFC history to claim titles in two different weight classes. After that victory, Topuria began appearing near at the top of the most MMA pound-for-pound rankings, often just behind Islam Makhachev. Later in 2025, he announced that he would not compete until God knows when now, because of his legal situation, focusing on his family and stuff. So yeah, he's only had one fight this year against Charles Oliveira for the first round knockout. Great win though, but only just one fight. Yeah, fair enough. Hopefully his legal situation gets sorted. Number 8 for me, I have is Michael Morales. Michael Morales had a breakout year in 2025, headlining his first UFC main event on May 17th at UFC Vegas 106, where he knocked out former title challenger Gilbert Burns in the first round. The dominant performance earned him another Performance of the Night bonus and firmly established him as a rising contender. Later on at UFC 322 in Madison Square Garden, Morales continued his impressive run by scoring a devastating first-round knockout of Sean Brady, further cementing his status in the welterweight division. Undefeated at 19-0, Morales is widely recognized as a top 170-pounder title contender, and has publicly called for high-profile matchups, including a potential fight with Ian Gary, and pushes forward a championship opportunity. Michael Morales has had a fantastic year for him. Number 7 for me, Waldo Cortez Acosta. Waldo Cortez Acosta had a strong and active 2025, quickly establishing himself as one of the most exciting international heavyweights in UFC. At UFC 316, he earned a third-round unanimous decision over Sergey Spivak. He bounced back from a decision loss to a top-tier heavyweight Sergey Pavlovich in August, showing resilience and determination. Later in the year, he delivered 2 explosive first-round stoppages. he knocked out Ante Delege early in November 1st, and then stepped on very short notice against Shamil Gaziev and got a first-round KO. These performances pushed him in the top ranks on the heavyweight divisions, reaching at, I think he's like 7 or 5, can't remember exactly, in the UFC rankings by the end of 2025. Known for willingness to fight anyone, even on short notice, and ability to deliver explosive finishes, Cortez Acosta has quickly become a fan favourite and rising contender in the crowded heavyweight division. Well, with many speculating that a few more strong wins could put him into title contention. I think the win over Derek Lewis could definitely give him a title fight. I'm not gonna be honest, and yeah, just great performances from Cortez Acosta. Number 6 for me, I have is Nasruddin Imavov. Nasruddin Imavov had a breakout year in 2025, highlighted by his biggest win of his career at UFC Fight Night in Riyadh, where he knocked out former two-time middleweight champion Israel Adesanya in the second round with a heavy right hand, followed by an uppercut. The finish shocked the MMA world and instantly elevated his status as a title contender. Later in September, in Paris, Imavov outstruck and controlled Kai Borralho over 5 rounds to win a unanimous decision in front of his home crowd. That marked his 5th consecutive UFC victory, cementing the case as one of the top contenders for the middleweight championship. By the end of 2025, Imavov had strung together a series of impressive wins, including both finishes and decisions, solidifying his place as a near-top contender of the middleweight division. Following his victories over Adesanya and Borralho, he has publicly pushed for a shot at the UFC middleweight championship, currently held by Khamzat Chimaev, and is widely regarded as one of the next logical challenges, and I think he should. Number 5 is Yuri Prochazka. Yuri Prochazka had a strong comeback in 2025, beginning in UFC 311, where he scored a third-round knockout victory over Jamal Hill. The win was a statement performance, putting him back in the UFC light heavyweight title conversation after previous setbacks. Later on October 4th, Prochazka continued the resurgence with a third-round KO, this time over Khalil Roundtree, reinforcing that he remains a dangerous force in the 205-pound division. During this period, he also served as official backup fighter for the light heavyweight title at UFC 320, highlighting his continued relevance to the championship picture. Prochazka is fully focused on reclaiming the light heavyweight championship he once held and cementing his place among the division's elite. Number 4 for me, I have, is Joshua Van. Joshua Van has had a breakout year in 2027, highlighted by his historic win at UFC 323 on December 6th, where he defeated long-reigning champion Alexandre Pantoja to claim the UFC Flyweight Championship. The fight ended via first-round TKO at just 26 seconds after Pantoja suffered a severe arm injury during an exchange, awarding Van the victory and the title. Despite the unusual finish, Van maintained that he earned the title and deserved the belt, earning respect from fans and critics alike. With the victory, he became the second youngest UFC champion ever, behind only John Jones as the first Asian-born male UFC champion in history. Early in the year, Van also scored unanimous decision over Brandon Royval on the International Fight Week, earning a Fight of the Night bonus, and defeated Bruno Silva by TKO at UFC 316, showcasing his striking improvement and finishing ability. Throughout 2025, Van continued to climb the rankings and adding to striking output and finishing resume, firmly establishing himself as a rising force in the flyweight division. Number 3, yes, Petr Yan. Petr Yan ended 2025 with one of the biggest performances of his career at UFC 323 on December 6th, reclaiming the UFC Bantamweight Championship in a rematch of the 2023 fight. Yan defeated Merab Dvalishvili by unanimous decision 49-46, 49-46, 48-47, stopping Dvalishvili's 14-fight UFC winning streak. He dominated the fight with crisp striking, effective body shots, and strong takedown defense, even screwing some of the takedowns along the way. The victory marked Yan's second reign as a bantamweight champion, followed his initial run in 2020 and subsequent journey back through the rankings. Earlier in the year, He earned a unanimous decision over Marcus McGee at UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, continuing his climb toward regaining the UFC championship status and cementing his place among the division's elite. My number 2 I have is Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev had an historic 2025, further cementing his legacy as one of UFC's all-time greats. In January at UFC 311, he defended the lightweight championship against Renato Moicano, winning his first-round submission via Darce choke in about 4 minutes. This marked his 5th consecutive lightweight title defense, the most in UFC lightweight history, extending his UFC winning streak to 15 and solidifying his dominance at 155. Originally, he was scheduled to fight Arman Tsarukyan, but Moicano stepped in as a late replacement after Tsarukyan withdrew due to an injury. Later on in November, on 15th on UFC 322 at Madison Square Garden, Makhachev moved up to welterweight to challenge Jack Della Maddalena for the UFC welterweight championship. He dominated over 5 rounds with relentless grappling and pressure, winning by unanimous decision 50-45 across the board, and joining the elite club of fighters to hold titles in 2 weight classes. The victory also tied him for the UFC record for the most consecutive wins by a male fighter at 16, and made him the reigning welterweight champion at the end of 2025. Yeah, an impressive win from Islam. Great year for him. Yeah. But my number 1, I think it's obvious. It's Merab Dvalishvili. Merab Dvalishvili spent most of 2025 at the UFC Bantamweight champion, successfully defending his title 3 times before losing at the end of the year. He kicked off the year at UFC 311 with a unanimous decision over Umar Nurmagomedov, to retain the belt. At UFC 316, he submitted Sean O'Malley in the third round, which was a rematch, securing a deep choke after imposing relentless pressure. Later, at UFC 320, Dvalishvili held off Corey Sandhagen via unanimous decision, and his reign ended at UFC 323 when he lost the title to Petr Yan in a competitive bout that earned Fight of the Night honours over the year. Dvalishvili showcased his signature blend of wrestling and submission threats, broke UFC takedown records, and solidified himself as one of the most active and consistent champions in modern MMA history. I mean, this guy fought 4 times, 4 title defenses in 1 year. That deserves my number 1 spot, I gotta say. And put on dominant performances, by the way. Except the Petr Yan fight, put a dominant performance against Umar, put a dominant performance against Sean O'Malley, and then put a dominant performance against Corey Sandhagen. 3 amazing bantamweight fighters. Merab Dvalishvili is deserving of this number 1 spot. That's it. And that's it. Thank you for watching me rank my top 10 2025 UFC fighters. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. It'll be a massive help. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.